everyone. Hi, this is the Young Entrepreneur Experience. I'm your host, Vedant Sinha, and this is my co-host, Gabe Quimpo. And today we have Rodrigo Lopez, who is an amazing illustrator, and he's come to talk to us today about his work and his career. So, Rodrigo, how did you first get into illustration?
Hi. Well, I to be honest, I've always drawn since I was a very small kid. I always loved drawing, but I started taking it seriously as a professional. Well, with intention of become a professional about 7 years ago is when I really started working hard.
Hmm. Oh, so what was your some of the first pieces that you were drawing when you first started out?
Oof, I don't know. What I can say you is that I always enjoy drawing action, and I don't know superheroes. As you can see, because of my projects, I've always loved heroes and Marvel, DC Comics, and that kind of things or that kind of things. Maybe I change a little because I also enjoy drawing more westerns or noir gangster stories, that kind of stories too.
Hmm. So going off on your being a comic fan and also you're super crazy, just this whole sort of universe that you kind of created on your own. How did you create your or how did you go about creating your UFC X Marvel series?
Well, to be honest, I've created the story, but all the characters already were already created much before. So I just did my own version of something that already exists, as everybody knows. But well, to the truth is I have spent many years on Instagram, and I really wanted to use that platform to make my work more known, or to expand my work. And after so many time doing research, I realized that people enjoy or love character redesigns, and also if you can tell a story, it's easier to engage people. And the last years of my life, I have spent almost the biggest part of my time in my house working, drawing, and in my free time, I'm with my girlfriend or you watching UFC. So comics and UFC are a biggest part of my life. So I thought, if I do a mix of two things I love and two things um, um, which I more or less know things about, I think I can do something entertaining, show my work, and show people what kind of work I want to do. And that's the reason why I started drawing this series.
That's
No,
really
yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Uh,
Thanks. Thanks.
It it's nice how you correlated something that you love with something that you love to do in your free time, and then you found like the talent that you were good at, and then made the two and two, combine together to make something that you're really passionate about and that you're really successful doing.
Well, thanks so much. But it has taken me a lot of years trying things that never worked. But well, I know this have some kind of success. But well, I think this is just the beginning of my career. I've been a professional very few years, and there's still many things to keep working on.
mhm.
But yes, I think I was no, I was lucky to find something I really enjoy, and I can make people enjoy too.
No, you really came across probably one of the best comic ideas I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Quite honestly,
Thanks.
I literally found you from the explore page, and it was crazy because I saw I think it was it was when you're doing the welterweight competition with Moon Knight and
Yeah,
Wolverine, Captain America, and all that stuff. And
yeah,
it's really interesting how you just created this whole universe that includes both aspects of the fight community and the comic community as well, where you have
Hmm.
these Marvel UFC fighters tweeting out after the results
yeah.
of fights, or you have or you have Captain America getting busted for using steroids. It's like these little things that really make that universe your own, and I think that's really cool because you're taking two things that are really common, fighting in comic books, and you're just making it into this own unique thing.
Yeah, thanks so much. I really wanted to do something realistic, and when I am drawing, I am always listening on the background music or MMA news, and there is always that trash talk, or someone says on tweet something and the other answers, and all that polemics and that kind of things. A part of creating a good engagement, I think that create a closer atmosphere to how the characters are like, or to show they personalities, because um, as you all have seen, in most of my fights I only do one piece or one shot, showing the highlight of the fight, because I don't have so much time. I have to combine that with my work, and the tweets that I think are also a part to show more about the story, and I think that was a good point.
Mhm. For context of people who are watching, this is some of Lorenzo's work. So
Yes.
yeah, this is the most recent one.
Yes.
He also does character studies of like character breakdowns, and I thought these are really interesting. How do you come up with these? Because I know every fighter has
Yeah, about the
fighting
styles.
style.
And
Yeah.
yes, well, for files I took as references the UFC fighter stats, the actuals, and I have them as a media, as a reference, and I put that kind of things depending on the fighter. But for example, about fighters styles, what I did is, well, in my head when I started this project, I thought, well, there are many great martial artists in Marvel Comics, so I think I have to use them. For example, Wolverine is an expert in many Japanese martial arts and also other kind of combats. Daredevil is a boxer. Elektra is another. Many fighters, or Moon Knight, have a martial arts background, but in that cases it was easy. But for example, Captain America or Bucky, uh, I try to think, if you are from United States, one of the most common combat sports, or I don't know if it's a combat sport, but wrestling is really practiced. So I try to add them to that fighter, or if he have a background in Russia, I try to add them sambo, because it's really practiced. Then it's one of the most practiced martial arts, and that kind of things. Or for example, if Spider-Man has huge reflex and have a very big agility, I don't know if that word exists.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes,
So that
I add them capoeira or that kind of things, where he can do that the movements, similar movements that what he have in comics, more or less.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting how I definitely saw what you were talking about when you were making like American fighters like Captain America or even Spider-Man. Spider-Man's from New York, like stereotypically is from New York. He's viewed as a very
Yeah.
American hero in his own context.
Yeah.
You gave him a boxing and wrestling background, but
Yeah.
then to like add a little bit more flair because he's Spider-Man, you gave him
Yes.
like capoeira and like kung fu, which is really
Yes.
interesting. Because in the comics, Spider-Man had a kung
Yeah.
fu style based off of him
Yes.
too.
Yes, he trained with Shang-Chi in comics, so I thought kung fu is necessary.
No, and I thought it was like I feel like, and I do think like the whole tweeting idea where you have the UFC Marvel fighters tweet out really does build that universe up, and like having these character profiles with the martial arts style kind of like builds their personality up as well. Like
Yeah.
I remember with like you had Ares, the god of war.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really funny too because you for the martial arts you literally put down
Yeah.
every single one used for the UFC.
And because I didn't have more space, but When I try to do a research, and there are many pages where you can find many info about Marvel characters, and in Ares you can see he controls or masters every martial art on Earth. So it's like, well, it was crazy. I can't believe he lost in the first round. Well, in the first fight.
That was a great. That was definitely a crazy fight. Yeah, like to any of my viewers right now, please check out like Rodrigo's Instagram account. If not for the
Yeah.
whole like Marvel UFC plot line, like
Yes.
I've been waiting for those updates, and it's really great just to see like this kind of progression in story. Like I feel like even though you only have like a one shot of each fight, and it's only like and like these one shot pictures kind of like painting this whole picture, it really comes together well. And I feel like that's a lot of things that not a lot of people understand or get, especially when combining comic books and like
True.
combat sports, you know?
Well, I think that if you want to make something interesting, you have to know many things about that. I'm not saying I am an expert at comics or MMA because I'm not, but I've spent many hours reading and listening things, and I think that's the reason why I can make something more which can be a little more interesting. I think.
Mm. Mm, yeah. And then
I don't know if you have asked me anything else.
and just so do you have any plans to expand to a different universe?
Yeah, I think that's the question I've been asked for more times since I started this, because everybody wants to do DC Comics, and I really want to add DC Comics here because there are really great martial artists there, but I still have many plans for UFC Marvel. I have to finish the lightweights, the upcoming super heavyweights, and I have uh, another event ready. And once finished that, I'll surely start doing DC Comics, and also wanted to add Street Fighters. I think Street Fighter guys could fit perfect here, and but that will happen in a long time because, as I said, I still have many things in mind to draw
Mhm.
Marvel related.
No, that's really cool. Do you like? Would you ever do a Marvel DC MMA super fight, like something like that, or like a tournament? Would that is that in the like on the road or in the horizon anywhere?
I still don't know how to make the DC fit, but I really want to do it. And I don't know if it will be Marvel versus DC, or like if DC was another company like Bellator or something like that, and
Mm.
then a fight, or simply create some redesigns on DC characters and add them to the league and change the name. It will stop being UFC Marvel. It could be USA Heroes or something like that,
Mhm.
and do a super event. It could be. I still have to think about it, but yes, it's something I really want to do. I really
No, yeah.
want to draw Batman and that guys.
No, you could definitely do some like Pride X UFC type tournament if you're like a fan of like ancient like combat
Yes.
sports. Like it would be very interesting for something like that to happen and for that to come from.
Yeah.
But you were talking about how you sort of had to work yourself up into becoming the artist you are now, and how you had to just constantly work and like just kind of figure out that practice. So I was wondering, what was the big break for you, or in your opinion, as an artist and an illustrator?
To become a illustrator, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, uh, I studied when I started my career. I was about 21, 20 years old. I don't remember. And in that moment, I once one day one of my drawing teachers she knew I really love comics, and she put me in contact with a comic illustrator, Alejandro Germanico. He have drawn some Injustice comics. I don't know if you have ever heard
I've,
about him.
I've definitely heard of Injustice. I have
Yes,
I have the video game and the comic book series is so
yeah.
amazing. But that's crazy that you kind of like you use kind of your mentor. That's very crazy that you use your mentor and like he
Well,
probably drew one of the best comics in the modern age.
yes, it was like she put me in contact with him, and I sent him a mail, and he told me, well, if you are about 21, you still have a chance to become comic artist, but you have to work like a crazy. And in that moment, my mind changed, and I become almost crazy drawing. I since 7 years ago, I spent about 10, 12 hours drawing every day.
Mhm.
But I love it, so it's not something that is difficult for me. So it's fine.
No, and the come up was very real. If you're telling me you remember the days you were drawing from 7 to 12, now you have over 50,000 followers plus. How does that feel? And like how does that change things for you as an entrepreneur and artist? How have things changed as you've gotten more prolific and you've gotten more well known within the industry?
Well, to be honest, is really helpful because Instagram at the end is a way to promote your work, and I have realized that lately it's time I ask for more works, and it's time I have less free time because I am doing commissions or whatever. Yes, it's really helpful, and that was my intention too, to have more work because as we all can imagine, as an artist, you it's very difficult to have a constant amount of more money monthly, for
Employment.
example.
No, that's yeah, I've definitely heard that before that the artist industry is really hard and you have to just keep producing content to kind of
Yeah,
stay in the game. And it's really interesting that you had to go through that as well because when I first came across your like content and everything, I was like, wow, this person was just talented, was just like already there. And it's really interesting that you're telling me I you really have to hone down your skills and make sure that this is like what I want to do. And you have to kind of like it had to kind of click for you in your head to
yeah,
see, okay, this is what I want to do, and really have to use this not as like a place to post, but as a tool to help me succeed.
yes. But also it was easy for me in some way because the previous years I studied other things that I didn't enjoy them, and I was kind of happy doing that kind of things. And when I had the chance to finally focus my life in drawing, and that guy told me that, and it was like I don't want to spend my life doing anything else because this is what I love, and it was I have to do this, yes or yes. There is no other chance.
So with the amount of growth that you've come to like have, and with the amount of products and illustrations and drawings that you have produced, what's your favorite piece that you've made? Your
Oof,
personal favorite?
I don't have any personal favorite, but I can say you to which one I have more love to say some way. But I don't think that one is the best. Is the one I have more is more special for me. The poster I did for UFC 253 that
Mhm.
was incredibly amazing for me. And
I
as
remember,
you
was it
know,
the one with Israel Adesanya and
yes,
what was his name? Paulo Costa. I remember seeing it
yes,
on Bleacher Report because I just followed you very recently, and I'm
yes,
like, wow, he really made it.
yeah. Yes, Adesanya versus Costa and also Reyes versus Jan Blachowicz. I did both
Oh,
posters, and that for me was very special because I love Adesanya style, and you know if I did this series, is to have more, to show my work, but also to take or to try to call Marvel and UFC attention, because I want to work with both of them. And the moment when I can achieve that and UFC contacts me to do that was very special. And as I said, this is one of my favorite fighters in this moment in the UFC, and I really love that draw, but I love it more for what it means than for the illustration itself.
No, I can't even imagine like how crazy that must have been, or how like fulfilling that must have been, that the organization that you watched for years on end,
Yeah,
that you doing so much content from, literally contacts you to say, can you make this graphic for me for our next big event? And
yeah,
UFC 253, to the viewers that might not know, was a huge event in UFC history, and had probably one of the best fights ever, and probably one of the most dominating performances ever. And it was crazy to see that like you were a part of that, and you were literally a part of history.
well, a very small part of that, but yes, it was great. It made me very happy. Yes, it was amazing.
Yeah, and then so speaking on the UFC contracting you and all that stuff, what is it like being contracted by such a large organization?
Well, it's great because they are very, very, very good professionals. I've worked when you work with big companies in general, they treat you really good. They when they send you the things you have to do, they are absolutely clear. They describe the things very good, make it easier for you, and that's great when you have that kind of works. It's great. Because in other projects sometimes maybe the client doesn't have things very clear and tell you one thing and then the other, and many changes, and when they are very professional then they do the things right, and it's easier for everybody, and in that way it's great.
Mhm. Yeah, I was also wondering, did you ever meet any UFC fighters, or like Dana White through that contract, or like through any virtual meeting and stuff? Because I did see that you did some Conor McGregor apparel, which is
Yeah.
really cool, and like I think everybody should like go to UFC and buy it. Go to the UFC website and buy it. But did you have any by chance like get a chance to meet anybody from the UFC organization, like Dana White or anybody like that?
I haven't met anyone, but I've talked with some guys on Instagram. For example, Jan Blakovic told me,
Really?
yes, he talked to me, and also Tony Ferguson commented one publication of the post fight of Wolverine and Daredevil. He
Mhm.
commented that post and followed with me, but I don't know. I have talked with some other guys. Rosanne Modaferri, I've talked to her once or well, a couple of times. Emil Valhalla, I've talked to him a few times too. And I don't know, I'm sure there are more, but not many more, eh? But
Yeah.
I don't know. And
Uh,
also when I did the poster, I don't know if you saw it, but
mhm.
uh, they 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 showed the poster to Dominic Reyes and Adesanya, and they reacted to my work, and it was amazing.
Yeah. And then for to all my viewers who aren't familiar with MMA or UFC, Jan Blachowicz is the light heavyweight champion. Israel Adesanya is the middleweight champion of the UFC. Dominic Reyes is probably top 10 within the light heavyweight division. And these are some pretty big names just to be meeting as an artist. And I can imagine Israel Adesanya must have loved your artwork, because
Yeah.
I know he's a big like anime and cartoon fan, but like
Yes, yes,
I can
yes.
imagine just seeing that must have been like, wow, like
It
really
was
crazy.
great. Yes, I think he liked it, or unless that was what he saw, what he saw.
No, that's cool. That's really cool. Just to sort of like wrap things up. So how do you think social media really has changed the game for you? In
Uh, well, making my life easier because many years, well, not so many years ago, many people who nowadays is working on comics started his career sending mails on paper to Marvel or to the company, whichever, and it was crazy. You have to send a mail and expect that someone is going to open, read it, and answer you with another post is much difficult, and Instagram makes everything more accessible, easier. You can work for anybody. It doesn't mind wherever you are, where you live. I think in that way is easier, but also means there is more competence. But well,
No, I
eh,
mean, I personally think that you'll blow any competition out of the water.
well,
So
there are many
I
great artists out there.
no, but
You can believe me.
no, but yeah, like I like purely as a compliment, like like some of the artwork you've made, and like everybody that's like watching this, go follow Rodrigo's page. It's probably some of the best content out there. Really blew my mind, just going through his whole meta. But yeah, no, I think social media has changed a lot of things, and I think we
Yes,
are on like a new frontier, and I think artists especially are entering this like new age
yes,
of either.
because I
Mhm.
yes.
Go on.
Sorry.
No.
Finish, please.
Like this new age of both like opportunity and like also competition, like you said.
Yes, I think that also, as you said, it has changed many things because social media is also a guide for companies, because if they see you have a good engagement, they see people like what you do. It's not just the fact of having more or less followers that also helps, because if you have more followers means will or could mean more views and also could mean more sales, and that's a good guide for companies, and that things it has changed a lot of things. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It was So can you for our audience can you say your Instagram name
Yeah,
for us?
yes. My Instagram is Rodrigo. Rodrigo. Sorry, I'll repeat.
It's all right.
Rodrigo. Rodrigo dot Lorenzo dot art.
All right, for sure. And thank you so much for coming on for us today, coming on to our show today. And
Thanks to you.
this is the Young Entrepreneur Experience. I'm your host, Vedant Sinha, and let's tune in next week and like and subscribe our video.